A Fox News alert out of Capitol Hill. The Washington Post is just out with the results of a shocking investigation. The paper uncovered members of Congress using earmarks to spend taxpayer money on projects that are very close to home. In some cases, the cash goes for improvements within just miles of their personal property. In others, it's given to groups that employ their family members, and apparently all of this is legal. Let's talk about it with one of the reporters who compiled this article. Kimberly Kindy is the national reporter at the Washington Post. Earmarks have long been controversial. Every member of Congress just about likes to bring home the bacon for his or her home district or home state. But your investigation gets a lot more specific. Tell us about it.
That's right. Most of the earmark stories that have been done in the past have really looked at the connection between a member of Congress giving an earmark to a campaign donor. This is the first time that anyone's ever looked at 535 members of Congress, every single one of them, and compared the public record to their earmarks. And what we found were 33 members, multitude of earmarks worth more than $300 million that went to projects that were right by their property. I mean, we really confined this to a very tight space. Almost every single one of them were within 2 miles of their property. Many of the times in which somebody has just looked at, like watchdog groups have just looked at a single member, they have taken them to task for things that are 10 miles away. This is a very tight thing, and we're talking about projects that were sometimes sidewalks right in front of their home. So
beach improvement.
They were very close to home, and some of them were also by their commercial properties.
Right, beach improvement projects that were close to their vacation homes, that kind of thing.
That's right.
This is legal?
This is absolutely legal. The way Congress has decided to police itself is they really don't have much in the way of restrictions with their legislative actions and how it may connect with their personal finances. What they say they do is they have a financial disclosure system, and they put it all out there so that you can see exactly what they own. And as a voter, if you've got a problem with what they do and how it intersects with their personal financial portfolios, you can vote them out of office. But the problem is that unless you have several investigative reporters who really can piece together the public record and look at the earmarks exactly where they're at and their property and exactly where it's at and make those connections, you really can't know, because it isn't on the financial disclosure form. They don't include that kind of information. When they ask for an earmark, they're not required to, nor do they say, oh, and by the way, I have a home a mile from this project.
Right.
It's not disclosed.
The so-called Stock Act is designed to prevent, for lack of a better term, insider trading by members of Congress, them being able to use their positions and their knowledge of impending regulations, that kind of thing, to make money in the securities market. But this kind of thing is a whole different animal. I presume it's not even covered under the Stock Act, right?
No, it's not. It's a whole different animal. I mean, this is clearly they're doing something that would make it much more transparent when it comes to their activities in the stock market. It would make it explicit in terms of if they're doing something on Capitol Hill and they have intimate knowledge about it and the public doesn't know, if they trade on it now, if this law passes, it would address that. But it doesn't really get into what we're looking at and what we're looking at in today's story and the tomorrow story, which is going to look at earmarks that go to organizations where relatives work.
Yeah.
It doesn't get into that at all. It doesn't cover it. It doesn't increase transparency. It certainly doesn't ban it in any way.
So who are the biggest offenders?
Well, I think you'd have to read the story so that you could determine who the biggest offenders are. We really tried to stay away from ranking anything, and I think it's a very level, even story. We show you where their projects are, and we show you how much money they got, and we show you where their property is. And you as a reader can make the determination as to whether or not you think they did it to personally benefit themselves. We tried to not make those judgments or do the rankings, but I think it's very telling if you just look at it.
We'll let the readers decide. Kimberly Kindy from the Washington Post. So yeah, part 2 coming tomorrow. We'll look forward to reading it. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.